What's up, baddies? Today we're talking about shoulder mounts. I know y'all want to get your shoulder mounts, but here's the thing. I'm not going to be letting you guys hurt yourselves trying to get into shoulder mounts. Not on my watch. We are not going to have no back sprains, no shoulder injuries. We are going to do it right and build our shoulder mount strength from a solid foundation of strength and good alignment, and not using momentum to just huck ourselves around and cheat our way into this shape, okay? Shoulder mounts take a lot of, obviously, shoulder strength. They also require a lot of core and hip flexor strength. So I'm gonna take you through some drills that you can do to start to work towards your shoulder mount. This is where you need to start, because I've seen too many dancers just get right into like throwing themselves around in a shoulder mount, and then they end up tweaking their back or pulling something in their shoulders, or they're doing it with such bad form and their shoulders are all up here and they're just like, like, no. You need to be able to do a shoulder mount with still having some space in between your shoulders and ears. If you're just like trying to pull and your traps are up here and your core is pushing out to engage and you're just trying to throw yourself up there, like, shorty, that is a recipe for disaster. And like I said, not on my watch. So let me take you through some drills. If you are starting kind of at square one, or maybe you've tried doing a shoulder mount and you're just not feeling solid yet, these moves will get you there. Let's get into building a solid shoulder mount from the ground up. This is gonna have all the progressions to get you from square one to a strong baddie. Okay, let's get on this mat. Now I have my weight here. For some of these exercises, you're gonna want a heavier weight. I've got a 20-pound dumbbell. If you have 20, 25, 30, something that's gonna be more of like a heavy, nice anchor, that's perfect. Or you can just use your pole. We're trying to have something that we can hold on to that's gonna like be an anchor. You will also need weights for a bit of arm strengthening that we're gonna do. So I'm gonna be using the same 20-pound dumbbell. But especially if you've never done any kind of arm strength, you know, if you have smaller weights, like if you have a couple smaller, like 5 pounds, or maybe you have like one 15-pound, just grab whatever you have. If you don't have weights, then maybe this is a sign to get yourself some free weights that you can have at home, especially if you're a pole dancer. Like, they're very helpful. And then I have my little stool thing here. So if you have a chair or a small stool, something that you can bring up to the pole, we're gonna use that in one of our drills as well. So you will need a pole for some of these drills. So if you have a home pole, great. If you don't, you know, maybe watch this video next time you're at like an open studio, open gym, something like that, okay? So we're really focusing on our shoulder and lat and tricep, bicep strength. This is just as much like upper body as it is like core and hip flexors. So we're gonna be getting in both in some of the best drills that will like really help you start to build the strength to be able to do a truly like strong, smooth shoulder mount invert. When it comes to shoulder mounts, there's a lot of potential for injury. There's a lot of potential for like tweaking your back, tweaking your shoulders, like pulling a lat, or just like tweaking things. So we're really gonna focus on trying to build strength with good form, good alignment, start to train in healthy movement patterns so that you don't just throw yourself into doing shoulder mounts having no strength, okay? So first thing we're gonna do is come on down, and I'm gonna have my weight here. If you don't have a weight, you're just gonna come to your pole where you can hold onto the bottom here. And my pole is on static, okay? So you just want something to anchor you down, all right? So I'm gonna have my arms up overhead here, and my elbows are gonna be slightly more up. I'm not just kind of letting them flop open. I'm keeping my elbows pointed up, kind of squeezing in. You don't have to have your arms close here. I've got them kind of straight, like halfway straight, but we just don't want them to be open. We're trying to bring those elbows up, squeezing them in, but I'm at the same time drawing my shoulders away from my ears. So I'm trying to already break the habit of like scrunching up here, and even on the floor, try and create space between my ears and my shoulders. So we're playing with a like jackknife type of shape here, but we're gonna start from ground zero. If you are like truly building this kind of strength for the first time, what I want you to do is start by drawing your knees in, like use those hip flexors, draw those knees in, squeeze them in towards your chest, and then pull your belly button in to try and curl off the floor and try and draw like knees to armpits here, and then rolling down really slowly, one vertebra at a time, and then squeezing in and rolling down. And we're not just using momentum here and swinging. I want you to feel that like your core drawing in is curling your pelvis up towards your ribs here. Pull it in, and then this is the hard part. Slowly lowering down. You're not just dropping down. You are rolling down one vertebra at a time. Roll it up. Use that exhale, contract in, and rolling back down. Okay, so let's start with doing 5 more of those. Roll it up. Even if you feel like, oh, I could be doing something harder, just do it with me here. You're never too advanced to be too good for the basics, okay? That's something that I learned in my ballet years, that even the most advanced professional dancers should be able to get something out of doing a beginner ballet bar, right? We can always refine the basics. Okay, now we're gonna add on. We're gonna add a leg lower to tap the toes, and then come back up and curl in, trying to get those hips over your head to roll back down. Now, as we lower the legs, we're trying to keep our low back on the floor. Don't let it arch like that. This is part of the core exercise to keep that back stable as you lower, drop up, and up. Curl in, and then roll it down. And exhale up. And lower down. So I'm inhaling down, exhale to come up. Inhaling here, and then exhale, pulling my belly down as I roll down, okay? Nice and slow. Inhale, exhale, draws the belly button down, draws the legs in. Start to come up. Inhale here at the top, and roll it down. Inhale. Exhale up. Inhale. And roll it down. Okay, 3 more. Tap. And up. And 1 vertebra at a time. Squeezing those elbows up. And tap. Lift up. And drop down. Good. Last one, tap. In, up. Roll it back down. That roll down is so important because how we get up into a move is just as important as how we come back out of it. I see so many dancers like flop out of their shoulder mounts, and all I can think of is like, your poor back. So we want to have a nice controlled lower as well, so that you can control when you lower out of the shoulder mount, okay? Now you can stay here, keep working on that, or we're gonna add on with a straight leg pike. So coming up and then pushing those hips up. This is what's gonna help you get your hips up if you wanna do something like a brass monkey, or just get your hips higher in that shoulder mount, okay? So coming up, I'm pulling in, but then I'm squeezing my booty to lift those hips, squeeze those elbows up, and lower down, up, and up. Hold, lower back. And let's go. 5, roll it down, and up. Slowly lower. Pull that belly button in as you lower down. 3, 2, and 1. Oh, okay, let's take a little breather here. Let's stretch out. Take a bridge pose, tuck your pelvis. You can let go of the weight for a second or the pole. So, drilling this kind of stuff is super, super important. Dancers need to train off of the pole. We need to train outside of the studio to support ourselves inside the studio. So the next progression for this would be to lower down with the legs straight, right? This is how we're gonna be in our shoulder mount. We'll go from standing to then up, okay? So again, we're trying to not just use momentum to help us. We wanna make it as hard for ourselves as we can by truly forcing the muscles to do the heavy lifting. All right, so again, keep your low back, ground it to the floor. Don't let this happen, okay? And draw them in. If your stomach is pushing out to engage, I need you to think about drawing it in instead. Okay, lower down, and jump. Slow lower. And we've got 8. And up. Slowly lower. And down. Up, 2. Slowly lower. Down. Up, 3. Squeeze those elbows in. Don't let them come out to the side. And down. And down. All right, 4 more. And up. Lower down. Lower. 6. 7. 1 more. Pull it in, pull it in. Good. Okay. Take a little rest here. So wherever along that pathway from like the very beginning one we did to this, choose where you're at. Like, where are you getting that good balance of like, oh, I'm really challenged, but I can still, you know, maintain the form. I can still really feel my muscles engaging. You don't want to go too far to where you are starting to rely on momentum or your stomach is starting to push out. You want to go right to where you can still maintain good form, but you're getting challenged, okay? And then just keep working on it from there. You can start to play with leg lines a little bit. So instead of just straight up and down, maybe you're playing with coming out and down and up and out. And keeping the hips up. And you could even play with like, okay, maybe some leg weights. Playing in this jackknife position. And working that core stability. It's a great way to continue to work on building that strength. The longer that you can hold your hips up there, right, and like do stuff, the easier it's gonna be once you get into the air on the pole if you've practiced it here. Okay? So you can play around with that. Let's give our core a little bit of a break here. We're gonna sit and now grab either your one weight, or if you've got a couple, we're gonna do some tricep curls here, okay? So I'm gonna stack my hands. You can either stack them, you can interlace. I prefer the stack. We're gonna bring them up overhead here. Now it's really important that through this, we're maintaining a neutral spine. We're not letting the rib cage arch forward. It's really easy to want to let that happen, but I'm gonna need you to engage through your core here. Keep those ribs knitted together. Keep your whole spine neutral so that we can truly isolate the arm muscles here, okay? So what we're gonna do is bring this weight up. My shoulders are down, long neck, core is engaged. I'm gonna drop down, bending at the elbows. And with the elbows, I'm not letting them come out. Again, I'm trying to kind of squeeze them in and up. And we come down. And exhale. Push it up, and now we're not jamming it up. Nice and slow and smooth. And up. Inhale down, exhale. Lift up, okay? Squeeze, we're trying to work like these muscles right here, yeah? It's gonna be super important when we're in a trap mount shape, okay? And drop it down. Let's go 5. Long neck, 4, spine neutral, core tight, 3, 2, 1. Ooh, bring it down. Oh, such a good burn, okay? So, 20 pounds might be too much if you are totally new. So again, just play with finding the right weight to work this kind of mobility, this strength in like this kind of shape. To have that in your back and in your arms and shoulders here is very, very important. Now we're gonna bring in our stool or chair, and this is the next progression. Let's say you're feeling really strong on the floor in the core exercises we just did. Then you can start to bring it slightly off the floor, okay? So we don't ever just wanna go 0 to 100. We wanna have progressions all the way up. So this would be the next step before you try and do a full-on shoulder mount. I'm gonna bring this stool, but if you have a chair or something, that works too. And I'm gonna come right up to the pole, okay? I'm gonna scoot this up just a tiny bit. I kind of want like my lower back and booty to be on this guy. And then I'm gonna lean back. And we're gonna take the same kind of core exercise that we were just doing on the floor, bringing the hips up towards the head. But now we're gonna see if we can actually lift a little bit off the floor. So let's start with right trap, and I've got my hands in my cup grip here. Right hand low, left hand high, okay? So what I'm gonna do is get curled in, and I'm squeezing these elbows together, like pulling. And then I'm gonna try to lift and lower back onto this little stool chair here, okay? So I'm just gonna try and lift the hips up and lower back down. So just for a few moments, feeling that pull, that contract, and then drop back down onto your thing. Okay, good. So I'm kind of going on my lower back, booty, legs are gonna come out, in, lift, and down. Let's go. Out, in, hold and lift, and down. Okay? So I want you to try and feel that same like contraction from that lower, or like drawing the belly in to lift those hips up to your shoulders, okay? You can try the other side. Left hand's low, right hand's high now. Squeezing in, you're gonna pull, see I'm pulling the hips up to lower down. And then go out, in, up, down. This is hard, even if you have experience with shoulder mounts. This is a great drill. Out, in, pull, and down. Okay? So if you have some grip too, that can definitely help. But this is what I want you to work on before you get into the next step of like kicking off. So you can play around with this in a couple ways. All right, just put some grip on. And now you can start with just the basic, just kind of curling those knees up. And then if you're ready, maybe you extend the legs. Okay, and come down. In, up, extend, and then lower down. You can even play with like cake tapping the legs. Up, lift, curl back to that chair, and down. Tap, lift, curl back down. Yeah? So I'm really trying to work on controlling that lower. Do your best to not just flop back onto the chair, but really like, oh, soft landing. And I'm gonna work the lower core too. Tap, and lift, lower, tap, and lift, lower, tap, and lift, lower. Okay? Whew. Please, please, I'm looking at you. Please make sure that you do this on both sides evenly, okay? I know it's likely that you're gonna favor one side, but please, please, please do them both so that you aren't training in muscle imbalances. Try to do an even amount. Aim for like 3 to 5 reps, then take a rest. Try the other side, take a rest. And you wanna just kind of go to the point of fatigue where you're like, bruh, I'm tapping out, I can't maintain the form anymore. You know, push yourself, go to that point where you are like, whoo, I'm pushing my comfort zone, okay? Once you have worked with that chair, that stool, then you can try starting to get into the realm of just your body. But I want you to start again, kind of from like a lower version. So I'm gonna come into like a reverse tabletop here. Yeah, where my legs are kind of in line with my heart here. And I'm just gonna start by like lifting one knee in and then pulling the other one in. And then lowering back down. Imagining that you were still on the stool, like that same height, but no stool. So you're gonna lift and lower down, up. Yeah, so I'm still working on that controlled lower. And the reason we're doing it so close to the floor is that you don't have that far to go. So you can incrementally build up, and then as you get stronger, just start to take it higher and higher, lifting up a little bit more. So next, maybe you're here, and then you're working on pulling up, lowering down, yeah? Honestly, if you practice this like every day, every other day, it doesn't need to take that long. Putting 10 minutes into doing the core work, tricep work, and drilling this on the pole, you will get there in no time, okay? So let me know if you guys have any questions, comment below, share this to your pole bestie who also needs some help working on their shoulder mounts, and send me your progress videos. I always love to hear how these classes help you guys. And I really think that it's just best to start at square one and like incrementally build your way up, build that really solid foundation. You know, I spent a lot of years working on core strength, working on like that grounded like pike move before I ever got into a trap mount. And I think it's one of the reasons that I've never had any kind of injury or tweaky or weirdness happen to me from a shoulder mount. And I love a shoulder mount now. So if you build slowly and gradually, yes, Your ego might not like it as much, but your body is going to benefit so, so much. So if you like this video, please like, drop a comment below, share and subscribe. Follow me on Instagram for more dancer content, and I'll see you guys in the next class.